Welcome to Sustainable Packaging with Cory Connors. Today, my guest is Mr. Durrell White. He is the Senior Supply Chain Consultant for Transimpact. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How about you, man?
Good. Thank you so much for making some time for us. I am totally excited to have you on the show because I think supply chain and logistics is a massive impact on sustainability for packaging and
Yes, it
for
is.
many things. But
Mhm.
I'd love to hear about your background. How'd you get into supply chain and logistics?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on to have this opportunity to present my viewpoint. But how I got into supply chain, actually, I stumbled into supply chain. I didn't realize I was in supply chain. Coming up, I started with Xerox while I was in college. Funny story, I would take actual calls because I started off as a service technician for Xerox,
Wow.
right? For Class A sites, right? So I started in AT&T. And I would get calls while I was actually in class. 2 years in, I actually moved into account management. And a large part of that role was I stumbled across that as well. I
That's
mean,
great.
even the job, a friend of mine who I grew up with, he was going back to college. He said, "Hey, do you want this job opportunity?" I walked into the office. It actually was the mother of a friend of ours. She was like, "What are you doing here?" So fast forward 2 years, someone was leaving a position. I took it over, and I instantly found out that at that moment I was actually in supply chain. So I was moving devices across Southeast, right? To
Wow.
different sites. I then, I wanted to take on more of a sales role. It was kind of difficult for me to transition and pivot from Xerox to actually into a more senior position, national sales. So I went into commercial retail where I was selling actual fleet trucks, commercial trucks here.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
At Transimpact
No, 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 no,
or at Xerox?
no. My apologies.
Yeah,
I didn't
that's okay.
clarify.
That's
I
okay.
left. I left Xerox and went to a local retail store.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. To get that experience, right?
So you've got some great sales experience behind you then.
Yeah, years. I wouldn't say I'm getting there. 15 years in, almost 15 years in. I'm not there yet. Then
And
I moved from there. Go ahead.
that's why I know you're a good salesperson because you know that you're still learning. And that's what it takes. We have to be humble and we have to understand that
Mhm.
this is a lifelong journey.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And I quickly transitioned into to B2B. And I dove into every sector of supply chain when it came to actual transportation was domestic, ground, intermodal, export, import. And, I did that with a couple companies. And I found myself within this great opportunity to where I'm now able to use all of my experiences and unique positioning to actually go out and create some type of change and bring value.
That's wonderful. So you mentioned your job, and I'd like to clarify for the audience what it is you do at as a supply chain consultant. Are you
Mhm.
working with companies trying to kind of tighten up their supply chain and logistics?
Right. Our company, we were founded in 2008. Okay. So we were founded by actual former yes and FedEx sales and pricing executives.
Wow.
Right. So they had a huge tenure there and they left there and they knew how basically large carriers, mainly, the big names,
Yeah.
were actually hiding hidden doors away from the visibility of individuals and companies. So they founded this company as a consulting firm, okay, an audit consulting firm where they would
Mhm.
go in, pull your carrier agreements, and actually a third party firm helping you find those savings and cut costs within your carrier agreements. Well, our founder, Berkeley Stafford, had the great idea to pour millions into actual tool that can encompass the entire supply chain. So they went from
Wow.
transportation impact to Transimpact, okay? And they developed this proprietary future focused technology. And we're able to enter in at any point of a company's supply chain, okay? Now, it's mainly four pillars, okay? There's parcel, there's freight, there's business impact analytics, and then there's also inventory planning and demand planning, okay?
Wow.
Right.
Way
So
more than way more than logistics. Yeah, this is amazing.
yeah, a lot more, and even we're even able to come down a former engineer, right, for over 20 years. He's even able to come in and optimize individuals' actual warehousing,
Wow.
complete new designs. Yeah.
That's impressive. A lot of customers I get to talk to during my career
Mhm.
have a big challenge with, okay, how do we lay out this new warehouse? How do we
Okay.
expand to another warehouse?
Mhm.
So I'll be sending you leads for sure. Yeah.
Hey, this can actually be a great relationship. I'm excited about it.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and you're based out of Atlanta. Is that right?
Yep. Born and raised Georgia boy.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
my friend Meg interviewed her. She called it the ATL. She said she's not from there, but she's paid taxes for 18 years there and feels like she's from Atlanta now.
I understand it. I've paid taxes in the Bay Area, so I consider that a home as well. Yeah. So just one thing though, we have a lot of names. Just don't call it Hot Atlanta. Please don't.
No, I would
Okay.
never. She told me that too. She
Yeah.
cautioned me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just call it Atlanta and make sure that I respect that. That's a
Now,
big deal.
and where do you actually reside?
I'm out in Oregon, just
Oh
outside of,
yeah.
yeah, West Coast. So,
Okay. Cool. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I haven't spent a lot of time in the Southwest, but I'd love to. I'd love to come meet you there and just experience that more. It sounds amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Come down, man. You can actually come down to Atlanta, or our headquarters right in North Carolina on Emerald's Isle.
Oh wow.
Yeah, a beautiful beach town.
I've been to Independence, Virginia.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Roanoke or Roanoke. I've been told
Hmm.
two different things.
Hmm.
A city over there, and it was beautiful,
Hmm.
beautiful area. Really like it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I want to talk about how supply chain can impact sustainability of everything, but particularly packaging.
Hmm.
I think it's critical that people understand that when they're buying packaging and they have to truck it all over the country, it can affect the sustainability of that item. So are you oftentimes looking at, okay, we could do this in one truckload instead of five, or we
Hmm.
could, like consolidation. Is that something that you're looking at for supply
We
chain?
we can even drill down and get even more granular. Okay.
Great.
So, and this great transition into actually what I focus on, my team and I,
Yep.
we focus on parcel. Okay.
Okay.
And what really ran the supply chain network and the market was really B2B, right? For
Yep.
for decades, right? Now, due to the pandemic, and even before the pandemic, but the pandemic actually sped it up,
Yeah.
it's more direct to consumer. You agree?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's exactly the way to look at it. It sped up something that was happening already.
Hmm. Absolutely. So we're there. I mean, we didn't expect to be here for another 10 years, right?
Yep.
But here we are. So it's two words that really affect sustainable packaging. Okay. And it's going to be actual visibility and waste. And
Yep.
those two, you know, rub neck and neck right next to each other.
Right.
So really focusing in on that, pulling in the resources to actually pinpoint those pain points within both of those and
Right.
how they actually side and why your actual, your supply chain is bottlenecking, you know what I mean? That
Yep.
bullwhip type of effect. And having that access, that viewpoint of visibility and waste, you're going to have less of a footprint, okay,
Yep.
on these roads and in the air.
That's the key. That's it. And it's such a simple concept, but it's so difficult to execute it
Mhm.
correctly. Well
Mhm.
said.
So if I can touch on one more point you said,
Yeah.
coming from what you said, 5 truckloads to one truckload.
Yep.
And what I mean drilling down even further is your packaging. So being that, it's more B2C heavy, you're going to have a number of packages inside of one box, right?
Right.
And every time now we have more regional hubs. So every time it gets to a new hub, it's been repackaged, okay, which is going to create more waste, okay. Companies need to be able to have visibility into that to understand what's their package characteristics doing,
Yeah.
and how can you, pull back on not only on footprint but also on cost.
That's it. That's so key to this whole thing. I often receive packages delivered from Amazon or someone else, and they're got multiple boxes when it could be one. And
Exactly.
it was beautifully packaged by the supplier, like perfect, the right
Mhm.
size, the right spec, the right corrugation, all of the things were perfect. And then they sent it to somebody that put it in another box with more void fill, which increases their cost, which increases their freight, which minimizes the amount of loads they can fit or items they can fit on a truck. It's And I bet you're exactly right. They don't know that that's happening.
Exactly, because now it's just become the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazon is doing something which I love. It's called ships in own container, SIOC. And I think that, to me, that makes a ton of sense and saves so much money and so much waste and so much packaging when people can't even keep up with the amount of corrugated they have. They can't recycle it fast enough. If they're lucky enough to have curbside recycling, which not everybody does. But so I think what you're doing is helping all of us. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're
And
welcome.
I really mean that. We're all in this together. We're all trying to be more sustainable in all different ways. So it just takes that effort of looking at things differently. So well done.
Thank you.
So let's talk about a couple recommendations, some value that we can add to our audience. What would be a couple things that you would suggest to a company right off the bat?
Right off back, this is what you said it. Amazon is leading the way, right? And they're doing this because of data analytics. They have access to it. They already have the backbone for it.
Yep.
Okay. And companies have so many tools available. And especially logistics, supply chain companies, they're kind of archaic. And so many tools are being pitched at them all in different ways. So you're sitting here trying to warehouse and silo data from all these different tools. What is it going to take for a company to actually, you may not, you may not be as big as Amazon, but you can act as big. You know what I mean? So it's going to cut. What is it going to take is investing in the right tool and understanding that it's no longer about the cost of doing business. Like, we're talking about saving on average anywhere from 15 to 25%, okay, when it comes to your shipping costs.
Yep.
But to really drill down to a number that's just pretty sales numbers, right? On average, we're doing 19.2%. So not only are we going in and renegotiating contracts, okay, we're also coming in and providing you with that technology, okay, to actually drill down into every package characteristic. I keep saying it because that's what's going to matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. You have to look at all aspects. We have to look at the size of the box. We have to look at how it's packaged on a pallet, how it cubes out a truck or a shipping container, the supply chain line, negotiating your costs with carriers. I absolutely love all of the things that you're saying. And there's so many new tools now of consolidation of freight, of using things like trains and all of these new methods. Well, I say new, but it's kind of like a throwback,
Right.
to that's how we used to ship stuff, and now we're finding out that it's working really well again.
Right.
As far as
You made a great point, Cory. One of the biggest things is cutting costs into companies is going to be surcharges.
Yep.
All right. And in companies, people who are head of transportation or even financial departments, they're saying, well, I know what all the surcharges are. I know what my rates are.
Yeah.
They listen, human error and technology error can switch up. You're thinking you're shipping a 5x5 box, right? Human error and technology error running through these carrier systems can easily, on average, 50% of your packages are going to be up dim, okay?
Yep.
And it's going to be upcharged. And that's where the bulk of that cost is going.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And to explain that to the audience, so what you're saying is we think it's a 5 cube, we put it in our system like that, but the shipping software says nope, that's bigger than a 4x5x5, so
Mhm.
that goes up to 6 cube.
Right.
That's what you're saying, right? So that
Right.
delta, it could be a massive savings if we were able to figure out how to enter that in the system correctly.
Right. And it's not only that. Most of the time, 5, 6 is really 5, 10 to 12.
Yeah.
These are the gaps. And
Yeah.
that's creating visibility into your invoices. Okay.
Right.
And that's where the data is going to come from.
Yeah. And when you think of the fact that we ship about 131 billion packages in our
Mhm.
country
Mhm.
every year, that's with a B,
Mhm.
imagine a 10% savings, or like you said, a 19.2% savings. That's a massive number that can drive savings and profits right down to the bottom line for these consumers or for these
Right.
companies.
And
Well
ultimately
done.
save jobs.
100%. And save companies sometimes. I could
Exactly.
see, I've heard some sad stories over the past couple of years of companies
Mhm.
going out of business because they couldn't keep up, or they couldn't, with all of the cost increases around the world. So this could be a game changer.
Absolutely.
It's exciting. So what's the future here? What are we looking at? What do you think is next?
As far as the industry or
Yeah.
supply chain, okay.
Yeah. What do you see coming? Are you excited about anything that's coming?
If I were to be optimistic, I think companies are going to adapt.
Yeah.
I think you know what I mean? History shows that.
Yeah.
But do we have a uphill battle? As always, yes.
Yeah.
And that uphill battle is going to be focusing on things that's unseen.
Yes.
And as we grow, as everything becomes more convenient, there's going to be more waste.
Right.
Okay. So as we know, small business runs America. Right. We're literally the backbone, not these large companies. Small companies are. So we can't wait on Amazon to do this.
Right.
They lead the way with the data analytics technology. We get it. But who's going to have to carry the grunt and do the grunt work is going to be small companies throughout America and the world, period.
Yes. Yeah. And the hardworking consumer that spends their $15 that they worked so hard to get
Mhm.
on the item that they just are so excited about, that
Right.
you're right. It makes the world go round. I
Right.
love that.
Right.
Well, this has been great, man. Thank you so much. How do people get in touch with you if they want to start working with your company?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you can contact me right on LinkedIn. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you're really serious and you're in a dire need, I mean, they can call me directly.
Yeah.
Call me directly on my cell, and I'll pick up. You know what I mean? So
That's awesome.
yeah. So I don't know if it's safe to give out the number here.
Well, that's totally up to you.
Yeah, no worries. I'll definitely give it out.
Okay.
All right. My number is 404-977-0874.
Great. And I'll put that in the show notes along with your LinkedIn profile
Absolutely.
and your company website.
Mhm.
But yeah, you guys check out Durrell and get in touch with him when you're ready to improve your supply chain and logistics.
Absolutely. Thank you
Great.
so much, Cory.
Thank you. And thank Landsberg Aurora for your continued support of this podcast and sponsorship. If you're listening, take a minute to review and subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the more we can promote the show and teach people about sustainability. Thank you so much, Durrell. Really appreciate your time.
No worries. Have a good one.